Good afternoon, Dr. Malpani.
Hi, Vishwas. Good to see you.
And, as you know, for this Maratha Chamber of Commerce series of events that we are doing, which we do every once a month, we actually try to talk to, different sectors of the startup ecosystem. And we've already had a few sessions and which we talked about earlier in this session as well. So what we want to do today is to kind of talk about the healthcare sector. And in that specifically, we are going to have you talking about specifically the investment scenario in the healthcare sector. So now you, as a practicing medical doctor who spends better part of the day, uh, working with patients and seeing them and examining them and helping them recover. But the other aspect of yours, which is a very prolific angel investor. So first of all, we want to know how that works, and specifically in the space of healthcare, what kind of advantages do you get as a result of this, combination?
You get advantages and disadvantages as with everything else in life. So it's pretty much a mixed blessing. So I think, I'll tell you one thing. I tell everyone being an IVF specialist is the best job in the world. You get women pregnant and their husbands pay you to do that for them. No, but kidding apart, you're changing people's lives. So the emotional income which you get by being an IVF specialist is unmatchable. And that's why I continue practicing IVF medicine. I'm a good doctor, it gives me great gratification. So I think that's great. I think equally importantly, you should remember that I'm a second generation doctor, which means both my parents were doctors. And there's been such a sea change in the way patients treated my parents with the way they treat me. And some of that actually breaks my heart. I think there's a huge trust deficit between doctors and patients. And that just seemed to be increasing day by day, which means every time when you're seeing a patient, you're on the defensive. You're always the patient saying, why are you ordering these tests? Tuchko cut mil raha hai kya? These unnecessary tests, so many different things. And, even if you're a good doctor, the default is you assume to be a bad doctor until proven otherwise. Things are really not much fun, which is sad. I think that
Sure.
breaks my heart. We've done a lot of steps to prevent some of this stuff. We prescribe information therapy. We run the world's largest free patient education library. And I think this is a huge opportunity for startups to be able to redress some of this imbalance because let's be honest, doctors are messed up. And whatever you may say, even if individual doctors have done a good job, I think overall
As a community.
we've let the entire medical profession down. We've let the next generation of doctors down, and we've let our patients down. So I think that's the elephant in the room. We need to address that. Doctors are very good at blaming other people. Oh, it's all these medical colleges which are corrupt. They charge so many fees. All these politicians are corrupt. All these doctors do all these. Everyone else is corrupt except for me. I don't give anyone a kickback. I don't give anyone a cut. Everyone else does it. It's always like you pass the buck. And tragically, even the medical councils and the medical societies and the associations haven't done a good job. The reason I'm making the long list of problems is if you're a smart entrepreneur, every problem is actually an opportunity.
Sure.
And it's up to you to then address the opportunity. The great thing is you're young. You're starting with a clean slate. You don't carry any emotional baggage. You don't have any preconceived notions. And because you're a patient, to that extent, hopefully you'll be a little more empathetic and you'll be able to put patients first. Having said that, it's a mixed blessing because the trouble is doctors are still gatekeepers. Doctors are decision makers. And in fact, I think that's why it's such a messed up system altogether because often the first thing doctor puchega, what's in it for me? I mean, that's fine. All of us will ask, what's in it for me? Nothing wrong with that. But in a simple world, the doctor would only want two things, right? More money. And the best way to get more money is to have more patients. So if any startup helps the doctor to get more patients, everyone should be happy. Sadly, that's not enough. Because then now not only do you have additional, what's happened is doctors have lost all their autonomy. You think of doctors as being shiny knights on armor, shiny armor on horses who will come and rescue you. And maybe some of the time they are. Most of the time, doctors are pawns. They're manipulated by 50 different people, whether it's hospital corporate managers or whatever else. And often, sadly, they're knaves in the sense, they will do too many tests and too many treatments to get kickbacks and cuts. And it's become such a messy profession. Nothing I'd be very proud about, sadly. But the reality is, if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to get into this, do it with your eyes wide open. Understand all these problems which occur. Because then complaining and bitching and stuff like that is really not going to help anyone. And I think part of the problem is there's such a big gap between doctors and engineers, because typically most of these startups are started up by techies. You know, you fall in love with a shiny object, you learn this new AI ML language, you read about some press release from some Silicon Valley startup which has raised millions of dollars. Arey, ye to hum bhi kar sakte hai. You know, and then you go ahead and start. And I think sometimes it amazes me how naive some of these engineers are. And I think step number one, you need to immerse yourself in the clinical field. If you can't
As an
be
entrepreneur, as a healthcare entrepreneur.
absolutely, I mean, if, as any entrepreneur,
Any entrepreneur,
actually anyone.
absolutely.
I mean, you know, it happened to be talking about healthcare, but a lot of what I say
Sure.
will apply across the board.
Absolutely, absolutely.
If you're not empathetic, and you need to be empathetic not only to the patient, you need to be empathetic to the doctor. You need to understand that the doctor is just a small part of the entire ecosystem.
Puzzle. Sure.
There are farmers, there are lab players, there's the government, there are 50 other things. So if you don't immerse yourself within that entire ecosystem, you're going to have major problems. The good thing is all this stuff is well defined. There's lots of information available, but it breaks my heart when entrepreneurs don't bother to read it. And sometimes I think this is a result of all the tuition classes, Byju's system. Everything is so spoon-fed and ये परीक्षा में आने वाला है क्या, एग्जाम में है क्या, सिलेबस में है क्या, तो हम पढ़ाई करेंगे. हाँ, और तुमको पढ़ना है ना, तो ये आंसर है, ये रिप्रोड्यूस करो. So all these guys get into all these IITs and IIMs purely by doing that. It just bothers me a lot. You know that already. But then
let's talk about the investment. You as an angel investor.
You know, that's a big problem. Why would I be willing to invest in someone who hasn't bothered to do their homework, hasn't bothered to do any clinical immersion, comes to me with a fancy pitch deck, liberally, you know, splattered literally with jargon and fancy words, AI, ML, big data. I'm not an idiot, you know, but and don't treat me like an idiot. Give me a break. You know, it's very easy. I can prepare a much fancier pitch deck than most of the entrepreneurs who pitch to me. And that's what they do. Tragically, they have no skin in the game at all. They just talk the talk, and it's such a big talk, and there's so much hot air. You're not willing to be frugal. You're not willing to be bootstrapped. You're not willing to understand these things. And then as an investor, when we call them out, it's a standard. तुम लोग तो सब Indian investors चिंदी है. तुमको कुछ समझता नहीं है. तुम लोगों को पैसा किसमें इन्वेस्ट करना आता नहीं है. सिलिकॉन वैली में Y कॉम्बिनेटर तो सीधा $1 million का चेक लिख देता है. तुम लोग सब गधे हो. इसके लिए इंडियन में कभी कोई स्टार्टअप, कभी यूनिकॉर्न बनने नहीं वाला है. Because तुम लोग mindsets are, you know, whatever else it is. So people are very good at blaming others.
But you yourself have been a very prolific angel investor, right?
Yeah, I've made lots of mistakes. So I hopefully don't repeat some of the same mistakes. And, you know, hopefully I will make mistakes, of course.
But how much of your angel investing has been in the healthcare space, doctor?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit. And some of it is medical devices, some of it is healthcare, administration, EMRs, PHRs, all that stuff. I don't have any success stories to talk about. I need to be very clear. The reality is the Indian healthcare startup system doesn't have any healthcare success stories. Even though Practo was funded, 10, 15 years ago and has raised so much money, there really aren't any success stories. And it all boils down to the fact that if we don't understand the ecosystem, if we don't learn from the other failures, we will end up making exactly the same mistakes. And 2 years down the road or 5 years down the road, either your startup has shut down or it's become a zombie startup. And therefore, you need to do what are called pre-mortems. You need to learn from other people's failures. Life is too short to make all the mistakes yourself. So do I sign checks? Absolutely. We do a lot of stuff. We have lots of websites which describe the way we think entrepreneurs need to do stuff frugally. We have all the information on how we invest, and we try to be open and transparent. This is what we're looking for. This is what it is. And the only thing I care about as an investor today is my reputation. And that's one of the reasons why we're so open about it. We think there's lots of information available. What we're telling doctors is you need to partner with engineers. And we tell engineers you need to partner with doctors, which is why one of our initiatives is what is called MICE Labs. This is Medical Innovation Creativity and Entrepreneurship Lab at JJ Hospital. It's a public-private partnership. We put it in JJ Hospital because that's where the patients are. That's where the doctors are. That's where the junior doctors are. And we're hoping that if we can start teaching them how to collaborate with design thinkers, engineers, entrepreneurs, investors, we can put an ecosystem together and create a more healthy one.
And tell me about, what are your, or in general, angel investments in the healthcare? Because, we are talking, when you say angel, we're really talking about, small ticket size, reasonably early stage investments, So where, yeah.
I'm going to tell you one thing. I actually tell entrepreneurs, don't look for investors. I think don't look for investors. I think the entire startup ecosystem is completely topsy-turvy and upside down. Partly because all the press comes from people who've been funded by VC startups who have the money to spend on press releases.
Sure.
And therefore, every entrepreneur says, I want to be the next Byju's or I want to be the next unicorn or whatever else. I think that's completely screwed up. Pardon my French. I think, and part of the problem is the really successful guys, the Zohos and the Zerodhas, don't bother to send out press releases. They don't need to waste their money on the publicity. So you never really get to hear from the real entrepreneurs. You get to hear from all these inflated stories, which I actually think are very misleading. So I honestly tell entrepreneurs, investors are optional. You should actually do such a great job that investors come to you and say, please take my money. The only way to get a money from an investor is to say, I will double your money. And the only way to tell an investor, because why should he trust you? And I get hundreds of pitches and I say no to most of them, is if you've proven to me, A, that you have skin in the game and that you actually have revenue from customers, then if you take money from me, your ability to grow is far more. So I always tell people, please treat investors' money with a lot of respect. It's hard-earned money. Just because I happen to be rich doesn't mean wo paisa koi upar se tapka hai. I've earned hard for it, so respect it.
But tell me, I mean, you get lots of pitches that come to you for potential investment, and you also see other other investors investing in, especially we're talking about healthcare startups right now. So can you tell us, like, where is the focus these days? Where is the money going? What are the areas in which the money
actually that Vishal, I don't think that's a good question at all, because the moment you follow a hot area, you're then following the area not because you care about it or you understand or you have a competitive edge or you have the right to win. You're doing it because that's hot and that's where everyone tells you where all the money is. And then let's be honest, the moment you're going to be part of the herd, it's going to be so hard for you to differentiate or stand out. And an area which is hot today is not going to remain hot 2 or 3 years down the road. Sure. And raising money takes anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. It's not like investors are sitting around waiting to give you checks. I actually think a lot of that is a distraction completely. I can answer that question if you want, but I actually think, invest in COVID, invest in this, that, and the other, and stuff like that. And I think the other problem, Vishwas, is, and I apologize for being so contrarian, but I'm going to say it as I see it, because hopefully that's where I add the value. There are so many predators within the startup ecosystem. They call themselves mentors, coaches, incubators, accelerators, whatever else. They take the entrepreneur out for coffee and make the entrepreneur pay for the coffee, which again, I think is a red flag. No, but kidding apart. So honestly, I have a soft corner for entrepreneurs. I've signed checks and I will continue signing checks. I'm deliberately not naming any names because honestly, I think that's a distraction and that's neither here nor there. But I think the right way is you identify a problem, you identify a reason why you have the right to be able to solve that problem far better than what anyone else can. And then just do this one baby step at a time. Get your first few customers, delight your first few customers, get your customers, whether doctors, hospital labs, physiotherapists, I don't know. The opportunities are huge. I mean, the healthcare ecosystem isn't going to go away anywhere. The great thing is it's recession proof. And the beauty is that once you manage to crack it, whether you crack it by putting patients first, doctors first, or whatever else, you've created a great competitive moat, which is very hard for other people to dislodge.
Sure. No, that's good. That's thank you, doctor, for that. And as as a medical doctor and an angel investor that has invested in so many startups, and you've been careful not to name or call out anything, which is really good. But I think what is most important thing we were looking to here in this short conversation is in this meeting today we have different stakeholders, and we really wanted some plain talk in terms of investment and make sure that people understand. And I think some of the messages that you've given in terms of, especially for early stage startups, to put the skin in the game, to ensure that you are solving a real problem for one of the key stakeholders, whether it's doctors, patients, insurance, government, hospitals, whatever it is, and be empathetic with that stakeholder, go hand in hand, and then solve a problem. And what you are saying is that the money will come, provided that you are solving a problem and there is a paying customer and things like that. So I think that's the message that
I think you summarized it beautifully. I said, don't get distracted by all this noise. Don't get, when you read about someone else raising $10 million and $20 million, don't worry about all that stuff. That's all irrelevant distraction. Focus on what you want to do. And trust me, if you do a good job, you will enjoy it. It becomes a positive, virtuous cycle. And you're absolutely right. I think if you're doing a great job and delighting your customers, everything else will fall into place. The important thing is you want to get up in the morning. You should want to actually go to work. That's such a blessing. And especially when you're a young entrepreneur, the whole world is your oyster. So make the most of it.
Thank you. Thank you for your short, interview with you.
Sure.
Look forward to hearing you again in another event.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Sure. Bye.
Bye-bye.